Okay. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. Morgan Brown.
Here.
Dave Albrenner.
Here.
Becky Engel.
Here.
Brian Jones.
Here.
Jeremy Weller.
Here.
Jan Weichert.
Here.
And Christina Sharkus here. Next item is adoption and declaration of a quorum.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. The next section on the agenda is the citizen speaks statement. While people are up here talking, if there's anybody else in the room that would like to speak, you have to fill out a green card to be able to come to the podium to speak. So if there's anybody that would like to speak that did not fill out a green card, you're welcome to do that now. We now open our citizen speak portion of the agenda. We would invite anyone in the audience who has completed a green comment card who would like to address the board to step up to the podium, state your name and address so that the board secretary can capture it for the minutes. We will ask that you limit your comment to 3 minutes to allow sufficient time for all those interested in addressing the board and to ensure that other agenda items receive the attention they need in the efficient manner. Please know that while the board is always pleased to hear from citizens who would like to address them, we are not able to engage in conversation. If you would like to further engage on any specific topic, you are welcome to contact board members before or after the meeting, or you can find our contact information on the district website. With that being said, I will randomly start with the first one. Christina Frymore.
My name is Christina Frymoyer. I have a first and second grader in the Ottumwa Community School District, but this is my first year as a parent at Ottumwa. I want to start by saying that love is patient and love is kind. That being said, what happened on Friday was unacceptable and preventable. I want to go through the turn of events that I personally experienced. Arriving at 3 p.m. and standing outside where I and dozens of other parents were told to pick our children up at 3:15. At 3:20, a staff member came out to inform us they would be releasing every child who did not have a barcode scanned in the pickup line at 3:25. One at a time, they released about 7 students, with 4 of them having no parent waiting, 1 child retrieved by siblings because he was not in the right spot, and another being my son. I hear chatter among the parents and try to remind myself it's the first day, be kind. Many minutes pass and another staff member exits the building with a child and tells us that no children will be released through that door. Sorry. Unable to tell us why children were already released through this door, and absolutely no direction as to what us as parents were supposed to be doing or where we were supposed to be going. Zero regard for us parents, knowing they couldn't tell us where our children were, and neither could the office. I had to ask that they go outside and take these children who had not been claimed to where they were supposed to be after I was instructed to go to the doors around the corner. I instruct and help other parents to go around, one being a mother who had a back injury and a 1-year-old child throwing himself on the ground, screaming and sweating to the point of concern that I carried. I then come across a 10-year-old whose card was not scanned and looking for her second grade sister. At the next set of doors, we are told one side we will find first and second graders and the other side other grades. As I walk this line with my first grader and a 10-year-old I barely know, my daughter nor her sister were in this line. My daughter is not where she is supposed to be. Immediately keeping walking, we end up coming across my daughter and her sister together, walking the halls alone with another boy. Unacceptable. Firstly, there was no structure to this new system, and there was no structure within your staff. We are being asked to bear with the Ottumwa Community School District. We are being asked to trust you with our children, and you cannot even give us an answer as simple as, where do I need to be? You had one staff member releasing children to us and another saying they wouldn't be bringing them through these doors. Your office could not answer where my daughter was 30 minutes after school, and they had not released her to me. It was so chaotic that 3 second graders from the same class were wandering the halls by themselves when they were supposed to be lined up. You planned for no unforeseen situation. You did not know where or even how each student with different forms of transportation were getting back to the right person, and I cannot stress that enough. I walked out of that school with 2 children who did not belong to me. I watched a second grader run out of the door, and when I pleaded for him to go back in, he took off. If I took 2 children who, lucky enough, were safe, what could someone else get away with? Why should we trust you with our children? I will not be sitting quietly in the background. You put my children and every child that attends Dalma and Farney Elementary at risk. A few extra staff meetings could have had everyone on the same page. What is going to be done differently moving forward? This pickup system was just part of the problem. There was not 2 teachers or staff members who could provide information on the Dalma side. Not 2 teachers knew where we were getting our kids. From one class, 3 students being looked for by themselves, not with anyone, and not close to where I was told they'd be. I walked out of that school with children that I'm pretty positive were never accounted for. Not my daughter, not the 10-year-old, and not the other second grader. I will continue to pick up my children early until changes are made. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Next is Taylor. Next is Taylor. Taylor Godoy, maybe?
Good evening. I'm Taylor Godoy. I'm here today, like you all, to discuss safety and success of the children in our community. It's my understanding that it was the decision of the board to reduce school transportation routes. I think the number was by 7 routes. I think you'd agree with me in saying that the first day was not well orchestrated. I'm willing to give grace and understanding with change. Just like all change, I believe that's required. However, I'm not willing to sacrifice safety in doing so. I'm a parent of 2 children within the school district. My children have been utilizing the school transportation for 6 years. I've watched these drivers pivot to get our children to school safely. It cannot be an easy job, which is why I think it's very important to have a well-orchestrated plan, strict schedules, accuracy in the numbers of children involved. It's clear that these drivers were failed, and so were these children. Friday, August 23rd, I had arrived at Horace Mann expecting bus 23 to be departing at 7:30 sharp. I had stopped the bus from pulling away. As my son entered the bus, I confirmed with the driver, this is the bus for Evans Middle School. I expressed that I had called and was given the departure time of 7:30. The driver had pulled up a schedule and said 7:13 was the departure time. My initial concerns for frustration with miscommunicated schedules changed into concerns with what my daughter's going to do at Horace Mann between the time of 7:13 and 7:30. I'm not comfortable sending her on foot alone, another change made by the board. She's no longer allowed to ride the school bus, but now she'll have to sit outside alone. As I watched my son's route to school on Live 360, if you're not familiar, it's a tracking app, bus 23 had circled back around to Elm Street, loading more children onto bus 23, proceeding towards Alta Vista and back to Horace Mann a second time to depart at 7:30. So not only is my daughter expected to walk to school, no longer qualifies to ride the bus due to schedules and bus loads, they're making multiple trips around the same stop. I struggle to see how this is beneficial for improving times and improving bus loads. My son arrived late to school Friday on an overcrowded bus. By 15:14 or 3:14 p.m., I sent a text to my son, who was unable to answer the text because he had to go to the opposite side of the building to get his phone out of the locker, as they're not allowed phones on campus anymore. I informed him via text the expectation was to walk home with his sister from Horace Mann. My husband and I wanted to ensure that while we had a day off, that they were able to trial the bus system. I know not all parents were afforded that option. By 15:36 or 3:36 p.m., my son had received my text and called me with concerns picking up his sister, as she'd be waiting there for too long. He wasn't allowed to board bus 23 because it was overcrowded. He'd have to wait an additional 20 minutes for bus 10, and he states that he confirmed with the driver that bus 10 would offload at Horace Mann, and it was my expectation as a parent that he would walk from Horace Mann to home. I reviewed my Life 360 app, and my son was picked up by bus 10 by 15:40. And by 15:55, he was arrived to the drop-off point. He was not dropped off at Horace Mann. He was dropped off between the 900 and 1000 block of Jefferson Street. He proceeded to walk home over 13 minutes in an area that I am not familiar him being alone in. I'm not comfortable with him being in that area of town alone. I was not called and informed my son of my son's situation by anybody of authority, not a bus driver, not a school teacher. I don't feel that this is acceptable. This is not promoting safety. This is not promoting success. I'm not agreeable with young children being required to walk to school just because they're within a 1-mile distance. That this is not protecting them from unlawful and inexperienced drivers. It's not protecting them from the 171 registered sex offenders in Ottumwa, who are only required to reside 2,000 feet from a school. That's less than a half a mile. I'm not agreeable with young children being required to walk to school because they live within 1 mile. I'm not agreeable to a bus route that circles back multiple times, picking up several students to arrive late to school. They require time to get to their lockers. They should be required time to get to their lockers and their belongings, especially if they have to offload their personal effects like their cell phones. So he was late to school on Friday. I called to check in today. He was late today as well. I'm not agreeable to students having to put their personal effects into lockers, especially being across the building, out of their hands. As you can tell, I utilize my son's phone for safety and tracking purposes and communication with us. I know where he is at all times, not to the credit of the adults I'm entrusting his safety to. If in the event my son has to run, there's a critical emergency, I believe his personal effects should be on him at all times. That is what it is purchased for. I truly hope you reconsider your plans for school transportation, and I hope you reconsider your ideals about students and their personal effects. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor. The next one is Angelica.
Hello, my name is Angelica Trobon. I'd like to address the board about the busing situation and the safety of the students involved. My children personally are eligible for busing, even though we live within a mile of the school due to my son having an IEP. But to walk to school from where we live, even though it's within a mile, would take about 1.5 miles to 2 miles to find a safe route to walk, which means that children in the neighborhood are walking much further than 1 mile through areas without sidewalks and multiple sex offenders. And it's just not safe. It's not fair to the students. It's not fair to the teachers. It's not fair to the drivers who aren't even allowed to speak out about these issues. And I feel like we need to make a change with this before a student is injured or taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Cassie.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Cassie Navarro. None of my kids ride the bus. They are close enough to either walk or we give them a ride, which not everybody gets. I have a brand new coworker on Friday who just moved here less than a month ago. Doesn't have a vehicle. Her son was supposed to ride the bus from Farney home, and she finally got a call at 4:20 that her son had missed the bus. If I wasn't giving her a ride, she had no way to get her son. No way for him to get home. He doesn't know how to get home. They don't know how to get around here, so he would have been stuck there. But either way, I don't know why these children should have to walk. It hasn't been an issue. It's gonna get cold soon. There are kids that don't have winter clothes, and these kids are gonna have to walk and they're gonna be freezing. It blows my mind. It's absurd, and I could just only hope that you guys can reroute this and get some buses back going, because it's not okay for all of these children who are supposed to be learning to be stressing about how they're getting to school. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassie. And the last one for tonight is Holly.
Hi guys, my name is Holly Boudreau. I have 2 children in the school system. In order for my elementary school student to get to school, he just barely qualifies for the bus from the west end of town to James. He would have to cross a major highway, cross railroad tracks just to get to the school and back. Friday, he was not returned home to us until almost 5 o'clock. There has been little to no back and forth from dispatch. We've had a lot of dispatch drivers who said they did not know where our children were. I did find out today that they do go to Wilson before they go to James. Yet again, making my child sit at school and wait. I did hear of reports of kids missing buses and being lost in Farney, which I'm sorry for the parents that did happen. There's also drivers that do speed pass stops. We witnessed that first thing on Friday morning. Bus 13 came down Taft Avenue in West 4th. Didn't stop, didn't open the door or anything. There were children who missed that bus to the high school who had to walk, or were told they had to walk 5 blocks extra from where they were supposed to be picked up on the corner of West 4th and Taft, as well as middle school kids who did not make it to school that day because they were told the wrong bus and the wrong time. In Louisiana, there was a child who was 7 years old who was killed by a bus driver, hit by the bus driver on the route, dropping them off after school. I would hate for that to happen to one of our children. I would just like to know what you guys do intend to do to make this better for our students and our parents, because there are a lot of parents or even older siblings who are responsible for picking up after school, who have to leave work to pick up the younger students to bring them home. That's all.
Thank you, Holly. That's the end of the green cards. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is board priority. Through board's financial stewardship, we will provide operations, technical, and curricular resources to staff, teachers, and administrators so that all students have consistent and sustained achievement. We have a few action items here. The first one is a compact track loader with Dave.
I'll let Mr. Deitch cover the details of this purchase. So I come to the board to ask for approval on it's a John Deere 317G skid loader. Aaron and I talked about our uses and how much we've used it the past couple years and how much we would use it in the future. I know that's been a concern. We did find this used one in 2019 that's about half price of a new one. But anyway, I'm just going to go through some of the uses, if you don't mind, of what we have used in the past and what we look to use in the future. Moving snow piles in the winter, unloading semis, any dirt work that we would need to do, which seems to be quite frequent. Load trucks for winter needs, and then load our own salt and sand mixture. Right now, we go to the city every time we need to get salt or sand and have them load us. And what we'd like to do is keep our own stockpile of salt and sand out at the yards, and we can load it ourselves. Tear out small concrete jobs, repair work on asphalt, etc. Used to unload pallets of mulch or other landscaping tasks around all the schools. We could still get that in bulk. Then we'd be able to haul the skid steer on a trailer when the forks are needed rather than driving the fork truck across town. Clean up trees and branches. We tend to move sheds and loading old sheds for disposal. And then various work around schools with different attachments, post hole diggers. We've got several trees that we need to grind up, the stumps, and then go ahead and get a forklift attachment with it. So with that, I guess I would ask for the board's approval. Is there any questions that
Okay, if there's no questions, we'll be looking for a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve purchase of the compact track loader. Second.
We have a first and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Next is the resolution for fixing the date of a sale, approving electronic bidding procedure, and approving official statement. This is with John.
I promised.
Hello. What we've got today is a couple action items to put us back on track for the sales tax revenue bond for the facility improvements. We had the board had the first meeting in June. I passed a resolution there showing expressing interest in doing the bonds. We had our public hearing in July. And then these two items, the first one is a resolution that fixes the date of sale. It approves the electronic bidding and the official statement. So this is the information that'll go out to the potential bond buyers. We delayed this because we were waiting for the state to release updated figures on the estimated sales tax receipts per student because we expected them to be higher, and they did come in quite a bit higher. So we ended this year with more revenue from that sales tax penny, and then next year they upped the projection quite a bit. So it gives the most recent and updated information to potential bond buyers, and it's also favorable for the district because it is higher with those sales tax receipts. So that was kind of the reason for the delay. And then the second item, the reimbursement resolution, is since The high school project is ongoing, and a couple of the things that we'll use the bond funds for will have already taken place. We passed a special resolution that allows us to reimburse ourselves for those expenses that'll start before we get our funds from the bond sale. So those are the two items, and I'd welcome any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for John about the resolution? Otherwise, we'll be looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Otherwise, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. And then the last thing here is a recommendation to approve the reimbursement resolution in connection with the 24 revenue bond offering.
Yep, and as mentioned, that's just the document that the board approves to allow us to reimburse ourselves for expenses that take place before we get the bond proceeds. And that should happen sometime in late September, October. We'll have one more meeting where we'll have the sale results, and then we close it out after that. So similar process to what we've gone through in the past.
Okay.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Thank you, John. Next up is superintendent report.
Thanks, Christina. First I have for the board, I wanted to give them just kind of an update on the cell phone policy, how that's gone the first couple days. I had a chance to spend time at the middle school, at the high school, and also Liberty. And I can tell you, I was extremely pleased with, you know, I guess I should come to expect this of our students because they always rise to, you know, what our expectations are. But they did a really nice job the first couple days of school. We didn't have a lot of incidents. Most kids were very appropriate. You know, the hope is that after the first couple weeks, it becomes kind of just normal operating standards of what we've been doing. But it really did change the kind of the decorum of our buildings as well. You could see during lunchtime, you could see during passing time, just what a difference it made as far as interacting. And also, you know, I'll intertwine as far as the grade reconfigurations. So we had, with Liberty becoming a 6-7, Evans becoming 8-9, and now the high school 10-12. The high school, to me, had a totally different feel. It was much quieter, hallways weren't as crowded, and just a really nice feel to the building. And I would say that for Evans and Liberty as well. I think we have the right grade reconfigurations. I think it's going to make a huge difference for our district with those grade configurations as well. So yeah, I just thought the board would be interested in that. And then in a general sense, you know, I want to thank the individuals that spoke tonight. We always want to hear from our parents, and we always want to do the best we can for our parents. And you can always reach out to me, and I will always work with you. I'll always listen to you, and always problem solve with you. So don't hesitate. We do that, and I love working with parents. So if you ever want to reach out to me, feel free to. But what we looked at when we, in a general sense, on the first day of school, it was one of the best first days I've had as a superintendent until pickup at Dalma and Farney. You know, it really was. And I, as a superintendent, I have to keep that in mind, is what the big picture is, what things went well in our buildings. And there's so many things that went well in all of our buildings. It was almost seamless. But we recognized from the moment, drop-off went very well at Dalma and Farney, but pickup did not. And we know we need to do better, and we will do better. And I think, Landon, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I kind of enjoy this, Landon, is if you want to just speak to what we saw today and what we're working on as far as the pickup and drop-off.
Thank you, Mike. I think the first day we allowed, the goal was to allow parents in the north lot, which would be the lane closest to the Farney main entrance, to pick up both a Dalma sibling and a Farney sibling. But what we quickly learned is that getting a first and second grader over to the right location at Farney was holding up the line significantly. We made the mistake, here to tell you that, on the first day on Friday of deciding to do double lanes of traffic on the north side. So that means that a parent that was closest to the curb could not, when they received their kid, pull out into the bypass lane and leave because I had them 2x2. The reasoning for that was because we were starting to see a backlog of traffic far to the north on Milner Street. On Milner Street, and so I was trying to relieve some of that. We worked throughout the weekend. I did not have a weekend. It was spent at Farney, and worked to correct things for today. I believe we made significant improvements on the Farney side today, with our last car being around 340 compared to Friday, closer to 430. And Dalma, we still have some work to do. We made improvements there. Our last car was about 405 today. But parents should be on the lookout for some additional changes. One of the changes we made over the weekend is to only allow on the north lane by Farney for you to pick up a third, fourth, or fifth grader. And if you have a sibling, if you have a Dalma kid that has a Farney sibling, that Farney sibling will go to that first and second grader. And it's a lot easier to send a third, fourth, or fifth grader down to look for their sibling versus a first and second grader to Farney. A lot of times they have no idea what they're driving, who they're looking for. So we are going to continue to make some improvements in that. And parents can see, hopefully, that today, at least if you picked up at Farney, that went much smoother. We still had some kids that reported to the wrong location. We're working through that. We told them one thing on Friday, now we've told them a different thing today, so we expect it to be even better tomorrow. We had some Farney kids that had younger siblings that reported to the Farney gym when they should have been going down to meet their elementary sibling in Dalma. So again, those are things we're working through now, and I think tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week, we'll smooth those things over. We had today some buses that sat at Dalma for a little bit too long. And by that, I mean 15 minutes too long. And that was because there was, again, a communication breakdown between the bus arriving and getting those bus kids out. Those kids in the kid account system were ready to go and in their correct location. They just didn't get the okay that bus number pulled up and that they should have gone out. These are things that we can fix. So we met, like I say, all throughout the weekend and today, and we'll continue to meet. My office is now located at Farney, so.
Until further notice.
Until further notice.
Thanks, Landon.
But it's our commitment. We're going to figure it out, and this is going to be in the rearview mirror in the near future, and we'll do whatever we need to fix it, and it's very fixable. So we will, if you are, like I said before, if parents are not happy with how it's going after giving us a few days, feel free to reach out to me. We're open to suggestions. We want to problem solve with you. So please do that. So I appreciate the update, Landon. The other thing two things I have to mention is the 3-on-3 tournament is September 14th, just a reminder. We were very excited that we had enough sponsors to now make that free. So students will be able to participate without having to pay anything. So we're excited about that. And then also the tennis court, the ribbon cutting, just a reminder to the board, at noon on September 14th will be the tennis court ribbon cutting. And by then, what will be finished is the pit parking lot, and we have to find another name for that, but the pit parking lot will be done, and there will be steps that will be going up to the other parking lot. We will also have the lights in by then for the tennis courts, which will change that area quite a bit. And then we probably won't have the bathrooms completely done, but we'll have a lot of the bathroom done, and then the viewing area will be also done. So by then, it should be a wonderful day, and we're excited for that day. And what's kind of neat, it's during homecoming as well. So homecoming's that week. So with that, that's everything I have, Christina.
Thank you, Mike. Next on the agenda is board member topics. Does anybody have anything else to add?
I just got one thing. I just want to say thanks to Landon and Dave for all this stuff. This is a lot of hard work on this busing and come up and admit we made mistakes. That takes quite a bit. And I had made a phone call after hours to Landon on Thursday or Friday and about a concerned parent. And, you know, within a couple hours, you know, it was 6, 7, 8 o'clock, Landon had it fixed. And so just like what Mike said, please be open and come to us and let us know, and we're willing to fix the problems, because it was just a matter of a couple hours and we fixed that problem with the concerned parent, and we're willing to do that. So we know there's things out there that need to be taken care of, but it's been a long summer for them, I know, out visiting houses and places like that. So thank you, guys.
Thanks, Brian. Anything else? If there's nothing else, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Meeting's adjourned.